are. Before I start the actual story, just a quick reminder, like, comment down below, subscribe. If you have any suggestions for videos, also comment them down below. And you can also subscribe to my second channel, which is actually my main ASMR channel, which is a lot better quality than this one. Here we just chill and read various stories from the past, mainly. Now, Sverdlovsk Anthrax leak. On the 2nd of April 1979, spores of anthrax were accidentally released from a Soviet military research facility near the city of Sverdlovsk, Russia. The ensuing outbreak of the disease resulted in approximately 100 deaths, although the exact number of victims remains unknown. The case of the outbreak was denied for years by the Soviet authorities, which blamed the deaths on consumption of tainted meat from the area and subcutaneous exposure due to butchers handling the tainted meat. All medical records of the victims were removed to hide serious violations of the Biological Weapons Convention that had come in effect in 1975, and the case happened in 1979. The accident is sometimes referred to as biological Chernobyl. So yes, you see, there was a research facility that was, who knows what it was studying, maybe even biological weapons, maybe a vaccine, who knows. But a leak occurred. Well, read it more carefully, but ordinary people in the city inhaled the bacteria and fell ill, and anthrax is a deadly disease, so a lot of those people died. And we'll see later, but there's an interesting thing about this disease. So, background. The closed city of Sverdlovsk had been a major production center of the Soviet military-industrial complex since World War II. It produced tanks, ballistic missiles, rockets, and other armaments. A major nuclear accident happened in this region in 1957 when a nuclear waste facility exploded, known as the KGB disaster, KYSHTYM, resulting in the spread of radioactive dust over 1,000 square kilometers. The biological weapons facility in Sverdlovsk was built after World War II using documentation captured in Manchuria from the Japanese germ warfare program. The strain of anthrax produced in the military compound 19 on the southern edge of Sverdlovsk was the most powerful in the Soviet arsenal, called Anthrax 836. It had been isolated as a result of another anthrax leak accident that happened in 1953 in the city of Kirov. A leak from a bacteriological facility contaminated the city's sewer system, so it was spread by the sewer water. In 1956, biologist Vladimir Sisov found a more virulent strain in rodents captured in this area. This strain was planned to be used to arm aerosol. So this is definitely biological weapon now. Large filters over the exhaust pipes were the only barriers between the anthrax dust and the outside environment. On Friday, 30th of March 1979, a technician removed a clogged filter while drying machines were temporarily turned off. He left a written notice, but his supervisor did not write this down in the logbook, and as he was supposed to do. The supervisor of the next shift didn't find anything unusual in the logbook and turned the machines off. So the only protective filter that was keeping the deadly bacteria at bay was absent, and nobody notified the new shift about it, and they just turned the machines off and basically set the bacteria free. In a few hours, someone found that the filter was missing and reinstalled it. The incident was reported to military command, but local and city officials were not immediately informed. Boris Yeltsin, a local Communist Party official at this time, helped cover up the accident. Well, as usual, all workers of a ceramic plant across the street fell ill during the next few days. Almost all of them died within a week. The death toll is claimed to be at least 105, but the exact number is unknown, as all hospital records and other evidence were destroyed by the KGB, which is like the Committee for State Safety that used to exist in the USSR. So they were destroyed according to former biopreparat, like some factory maybe. Deputy Director Ken Alibek. In 1986, Professor Matthew Meselson of Harvard University was granted approval by Soviet authorities for a 4-day trip to Moscow, where he interviewed several senior Soviet health officials about the outbreak. So it was only 7 years after the incident. He later issued a report which agreed with the Soviet assessment that the outbreak was caused by a contaminated meat processing plant, concluding the Soviet official explanation was completely plausible and consistent with what is known from medical literature and recorded human experiences with anthrax. Okay, this is weird. Like, did he just believe the authorities or what? So what was what was the point of coming to Russia and investigating if he just believed the authorities? I doubt it was any worth it. Following an admission by President Boris Yeltsin that captions, "Our military development was the cause," captions close, Sverdlovsk's Communist Party chief in 1979, of the true nature of the anthrax outbreak, Wall Street Journal reporter Peter Gumbel traveled to Sverdlovsk, where he interviewed families affected by the outbreak, hospital workers, and various officials, confirming Yeltsin's comments. Based on these reports, a team of Western inspectors led by Meselson gained access to the region in 1992. Before they arrived, they had been provided by the authorities with a list of 68 victims in Sverdlovsk. By visiting and questioning in their homes surviving relatives of those who had died, the investigating researchers ascertained both where the victims had been living and where they had been during daylight hours at the time during which hospital admission records indicated a possible release into the atmosphere of anthrax dust. When the locations were plotted on maps, there was no very clear pattern defined by where the victims lived. However, there was a very precise indication from their reported locations during working hours that all of the victims had been directly downwind at the time of the release of the spores via aerosol. Livestock in the area were also affected. It was revealed around this time that the accident was caused by the non-replacement of a filter on an exhaust at the facility, and though the problem was quickly rectified, it was too late to prevent a release. Had the winds been blowing in the direction of the city at that time, it could have resulted in the pathogen being spread to hundreds of thousands of people. The military facility remains closed for inspection. Melson's original contention for many years had been that the outbreak was a natural one and that the Soviet authorities were not lying when they disclaimed having an active offensive bio-warfare program. But the information uncovered in the investigation left no room for doubt. Well, so basically, there were foreign researchers. One man from Harvard University first came to Russia 7 years after the incident. And basically, he was in Moscow. He didn't even visit Sverdlovsk city, which is a long way from Moscow. And he just conversed with the authorities. And you can possibly imagine what the Soviet authorities were like. They were all the same. They said exactly the same things. And they couldn't really say anything else without risks to their careers and even lives. So he just believed them at first. And then about, 6 years later, he came to Russia with a team of journalist researchers from, I think Wall Street Journal, yes. And they actually came to Sverdlovsk instead of Moscow. Usually their immunity is able to fight some things, but it wouldn't be able to fight off that anthrax if it was released in a battlefield. So that was suspicious. Well, Chapter 3, Aftermath. Russian Prime Minister Yegor Gaidar issued a decree to begin demilitarization of Compound 19 in 1992. However, the facility continued its work. Not a single journalist had been allowed onto the premises since 1992. About 200 soldiers with Rottweiler dogs still patrol the complex. Classified activities were moved underground, and several new laboratories have been constructed and equipped to work with highly dangerous pathogens. One of their current subjects is reportedly Bacillus anthracis strain H4. Its virulence and antibiotic resistance have been dramatically increased using genetic engineering. I wonder when that information was drawn up, because, well, obviously if it were like completely modern, I doubt that it would have been left without any international investigation. If anybody found out that Russia was producing bioweapons, it would have been stopped. It would have been brought about. And anyway, I'm not sure about that one. Maybe it's information from 1992, who knows. So yeah, this is the case of the anthrax outbreak in Sverdlovsk in 1979. So comment down below what you think about this case. I think it's a bit unusual. Usually people just discover some animal, not cemeteries, but like graves, animal graves, mass graves, where like sick animals were buried, and usually people just uncover anthrax just by touching the infected meat of those animals, because the bacteria live quite a long life. Even when their organism is dead, well, they are not viruses, so they live quite a long time and reproduce and stuff. But this case is unusual because it was kind of bioweapons derived. Okay, so thanks for listening. I hope this case was interesting for you. Write down in the comment section what you think about all this. Do you have any more cases that you'd like me to talk about? And like the video, share it in your social nets, maybe on Reddit, I don't know, whatever. And subscribe to the channel and to my main channel